afraid of spiders? First, they're gentle. Okay, spiders hardly ever bite. They only bite if they're guarding egg sacs or if you squish them. And I can understand a spider biting you if they get squished. I mean, if I get squished and I can't move my arms, I would bite you too. So spiders are really gentle. And of course, many of them are pretty. I found this one outside my bank. Beautiful spider. And look at this beautiful spider. Oh, saw the spider and I fell in love. Some of them are just doggone cute. Okay, that's not very scientific, but they are. And some are just beautiful and fun to study. We made a little photographic box, a light box for this out of some science fair boards, and we could take a really good picture of this beauty. Spiders are really important to us as predators of insects. Without spiders and some beneficial insects and perhaps bats, life on Earth would be really hard for humans because insects would devour a huge percentage of our crops and spread a lot more disease. So spiders provide an important service for keeping insect numbers under control. And I love insects, but we got to keep their numbers under control like everything else. So spiders need some human friends because too many people are out there spraying chemicals and when they see a spider, kill and all that sort of stuff. Spiders are important. Spiders are our friends, like I say. And the only spider that you have to avoid is the black widow. And this is not an aggressive spider. It's very shy. It's not out to get you. They don't crawl around looking for you or anything. They're usually hidden. So as long as you don't put your hand somewhere where you can't see what's underneath it, you're going to be okay. You know, as soon as you stick your hand under the board where you can't see it or down in that gopher hole to get your golf ball, then if there's a black widow and you accidentally squish it, you would get bit. But there's no reason to be afraid of these. Just if you see them, let them alone. And you can all recognize them by that shiny black and the red hourglass. And let's get rid of another myth. Everybody thinks the brown recluse lives in California in the Bay Area. And let's see what the science says. Let's see what the data says. No. They're really common in the Midwest. But in most of California, they're not around. There's a little desert species that's pretty harmless. So they're a small species. They're very cryptic, and they're not in California. So you don't have to worry about spiders hurting you in California. They're gentle creatures. So take it from some of my students here that love spiders. And maybe your attitude is replace fear with curiosity. That's a good little slogan. And here's some of my other students all holding a tarantula. And as soon as you hold a tarantula, you will just feel this light from above because they're so soft and gentle and nice. That's what happened to me. They're really cool creatures. And look at this little guy. He knows that spiders are cool. So I want you to like them too. So one of the ways to learn to like them is to learn what makes them tick and learn their anatomy and such. Okay. So spiders are invertebrates. They're animals without backbones, and they're related to insects, and they're related to crabs. And they're in this big group called the arthropods, which are the jointed body animal. You know, here's a joint on my wrist, here's a joint on my finger, a joint around here. And they all have a hard outer skeleton made of chitin. But spiders are in a specific group called the arachnids. And arach is Greek. It's a Greek word for spider. And to be in the spider club, I tried to get in the spider club and they wouldn't let me in because I didn't have 4 pairs of legs and 2 body divisions. I only have 2 pairs of appendages, right? My arms and my legs. So I didn't have enough. And they thought I was a spider because I don't have any antenna. Spiders don't have any antennae. But then they looked at my teeth. I have chewing mouth parts. Spiders have sucking mouth parts, okay? So that's what you got to have be an arachnid. Now, is this guy an arachnid? Is this guy an arachnid? Do we see, can you see the kids there? Any hands up saying, yes, this is an arachnid, or anything in the chat saying, is this an arachnid? The answer is no, this is not an arachnid. How come? Only 3 pairs of legs. This guy doesn't have enough legs. This arachnid club wouldn't let him in the club. This is a ladybug larvae. What about this? Ooh, black scary thing, jointed legs. No, come on. 3 pairs of legs, 1 pair of antennae, a head, a thorax, an abdomen. That's 3 body divisions. Nope. This is an insect. This is Mr. Beetle. Ah, is this an arachnid? Yes. 4 pairs of legs, 2 body divisions, no antenna. All right, well, there's other kinds of arachnids besides spiders. There's harvestmen. These look like a spider, but they're not a true spider. And I'll tell you why in a minute. There's scorpions. They have 4 pairs of legs. And pseudoscorpions, which, as you can see from this penny that he's on, are really, really tiny and harmless. They're cool arachnids. I love these. And ticks. Ticks are an arachnid, 4 pairs of legs. But the next thing, now that you know that spiders are arachnids and who their relatives are, you need to learn their anatomy. Because when you start thinking of them as interesting creatures and learning their parts, again, you stop being afraid of them. You're getting to know them. So they all have a big abdomen. That's where all the vital organs are. Digestive gland, the heart, the silk glands, all that sort of stuff. They have this front section, which is a head and a thorax combined. Some people call it the cephalothorax. Other terms are the prosoma, which means first segment. Then they have 4 pairs of walking legs. And then they have these little tiny little legs in front called the palps. And they use those to manipulate food, or if they're a male, they use those to fertilize the female. And spider eyes, here's a little trapdoor spider we found up at camp. Here's the spider eyes right here. And here's the eyes on a jumper. Nice pair of sunglasses, plus a bunch of other little eyes. So not all the spider eyes are the same. Here's my friend, the lynx spider, and he's got his eyes sort of in this, a hexagon, and then 2 eyes in front. Really cool eye pattern. And then here's our friend, the crab spider, little 8 beady eyes. Most spiders have 8 eyes. Some have 6. But most of the spiders you'll see in Spiderland have 8. Another important part you need to learn are the spinnerets. This is on the back of the abdomen, and that's where the silk comes out. That's where the silk comes out. And they have all these little spigots at the end to control what kind of silk and how to apply it and all that sort of things. Very complex and very interesting study. Last couple things is right between, here's a palp, and here's a walking leg, and here are the eyes. Underneath that are these things some people call the spider's hands, but they're called chelicerae or chelicerae, depending on how you want to pronounce them. And at the end of those are the fangs. And so the chelicerae, they sometimes snip silk in between them. And like I say, the fangs are on the end. They're a handy little device for the spider. Here's a different spider, and you can see the eyes in a cluster and big chelicerae and long fangs. This is a non-native that you'll find in the garden. It's a cool spider. Now, spiders, well, I think we better practice our anatomy, shouldn't we? So I want all the kids to I want you all to stand up and let's all practice here, okay? So let's have our walking legs, right? Right? And then here's our prosoma. Here's our prosoma. Here's our abdomen. Let's get our palps. Everybody get your palps. And let's get our chelicerae. Here's our chelicerae. And let's put a fang on the end. Fang on the end. And most spiders' fangs go side to side. Things like tarantulas, their fangs go up and down, but most go side to side. And of course, we got to see your spinnerets. You got to see your spinnerets. So you can learn this stuff and practice it at home at the dinner table. Let's pretend this was a potato. And I don't know if you can see it. I would go up to it and I would grab that potato, or I'd put my head down and I'd use my chelicerae and I'd try to, bite the potato. So practice that at the dinner table. Mom and Dad will like that because you're learning your spiders. Now, how do spiders eat? Because they don't have chewing mouth parts. What they have to do is liquefy their prey. So a spider goes up, and you can practice this on a little brother or sister. You jump on them, and you give them a little bite, and with your chelicerae and your fangs, and you inject some venom into them. And that kills the prey item, right? And then they come back once their prey is dead, and they barf up digestive juices like stomach acids, either on the outside or back in through those puncture marks where the fangs were. And that liquefies their prey. And so on the inside, all those muscles have turned into soup. Then they just come back and suck it up. So it's a cool way to eat. And that's what this spider has done here. She's wrapped it up and she's liquefied the inside, and then she just kind of sucks up the juice and stuff. Here's a little diagram of the inside of the spider, and it's pretty complicated, but it just kind of shows you some of the neat little features. And that's another way to learn about spiders and to not be afraid of them. There's the sucking stomach. Here's the venom gland, and it has a little tube that connects down to the fang and all sorts of little goodies. Here are the silk glands, I think somewhere in here. Yeah, right around there, that produces silk. Silk is liquid on the inside of the spider, and then when it gets tugged out into the air, it becomes solid. Another thing you can do, spider friends, is learn to identify males from females. And adult males always have these boxing glove palps. Their palps become swollen at the end. That's how you know they're an adult. Boy, and look at the chelicerae and the fangs on this guy. He looks fearsome, but these are harmless. All right, which one? Is it the blue one or the tan one? Which is the male? So on a count of 3, we're all going to say left or right, whatever put. So 1, 2, 3. Which one's the male? Which one's the male? The left. This is the male. And how do you know? What do you got, some spider, savant or something? Nope. You see those old boxing gloves, right? That tells you that's a male. Okay. What about this one? Male or female? What do you think? Anything in the chat there? What's it tell us? Bryn says male. Jane says male. Anybody else in there? Good job. That is a male. Now, spiders don't like to hang out in their web in the daytime because predators like birds might get them. So they hide in a little hiding place called their retreat. I love that name. So you can have a retreat at home, like, under the couch or in your bedroom, call it your retreat. Yeah, so sometimes if you can't find the spiders in the daytime, you look along the silk and you'll find them hiding in their retreat. So other things to be a spider. All spiders are carnivores. If you keep a pet spider, you can't feed them lettuce. They all have venom, but most of the venoms are not harmful to you. And they all use silk, but they don't all build webs. And most spiders like to be solitary. You can't keep a collection in a jar like you could with ants or something. And so let's talk about silk, because spiders use silk for a variety of purposes. And remember, spiders are really important to the ecology, to the environment, not only as food sources for other animals, but they're very important for controlling the population of bugs. And so a lot of the web builders build all these interesting kinds of webs. So if you pay attention to what kind of webs you see, you'll be able to identify the spiders a lot more. And so I went out and I photographed a spider building her web at night. Some build it late at night. Most spiders repair their web every night. I guess they eat the silk and recycle it. They model recycling, which we all need to do. Now, how they recycle the silk, how they eat it, I still don't know yet. I want to learn that. So here's our friend, the garden spider, or Argiope, and she's wrapping up a cricket. Okay, wrapping it up, caught in her web, and then you could see silk coming out of her spinnerets there a little bit. And here's another one wrapping up a bug. And here's a cool web I had in my backyard. Oh man, really beautiful. And so I started wondering, what spider is it? And it wasn't there during the day. I could never see the spider. Where was the spider if it wasn't there in the daytime? Who knows? Who can tell me in the chat? Who can tell me in the chat? Do we see that in the chat? Any answers? If it's not there in the day, where's it hiding? In its retreat. Charles says the retreat, or Charlotte says the retreat. Good job, Charlotte. And Carlotta, well done. Well done, Carlotta. Well, I went out at night. I outsmarted the spider. And there she is, old Steatota, the false black widow. There she was at night in that web. Now, another use for silk are egg cases. Some, like the black widow, make this parchment-like egg case. Some, like wolf spiders, which a lot of my kids are afraid of wolf spiders. And I tell them, wolf spiders are harmless, man. Living around the grass and on the ground, they're cool. And Mama Wolfie, she carries the egg sac around with her. She wants to guard those eggs. Later, the babies will hatch out of that and take a ride on her. It's kind of fun to find. Here's another type of garden spider, and look at this beautiful egg case. This was, almost an inch in diameter. It was amazing. Another thing that spiders do with silk, some of them make this sort of zipper-like pattern or signature in their web. And there's all this scientific debate as to what its purpose is. It's called the stabilimentum. Some people say it's to warn birds not to run into the net or the web. Others say to attract bugs. Who knows? Here's another use for silk, the retreat. And if you look very carefully, you can see her sticking her legs out of her retreat. I got to speed up here. So spiders are really, really, really cool animals. I like photographing them. Great hobby. And since we all have cell phones now, or these phones, we've all turned into experts. This is a great way to collect pictures and make movies and stuff. And spiders are wonderful subjects. They're beautiful. They're easy to photograph. Some are really interesting. This is from Southern California. I want to go down there and photograph some more of these. I started on these foggy mornings, getting up early. It's hard to get me out of bed, but when I see spider webs out there, ooh, that's a good chance to photograph them. And then I found this lynx spider in my garden, and look at all the babies. Look at all the babies, a blessed event. So I like studying spiders, taking data on them. They're a great hobby. So hopefully you've learned to like spiders so much as me that I have beautiful framed pictures up in my house next to my mother, next to my children. I always have pictures of spiders. So I'll stick around. We'll turn it over to Anthony, I guess, or back to the librarians, and I'll stick around for questions or whatever. Thank you.
All right. So Pat, can you stop sharing your screen there?
Okay. Sorry.
Right, and we do have a question here from Meg. Go ahead. Meg, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question. Meg, are you there?
And we have a bunch of questions, so maybe let's wait till after Ranger Anthony, and then we can do a bunch.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'll let Aaron and Armin handle that part. All right. Thank you, Pat. My head is full of spiderness now, and so well we're gonna move on here. Gonna practice being that spider. Gonna add a spotlight here for Anthony. And all right, so again, welcome to Anthony Fisher from Tilden Nature Center in Tilden Park.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm here in the visitor center at the Tilden Nature area, which is closed and has been for months. And the little farm is also closed. Probably some of you have wanted to come back. We're starting to talk about opening procedures, but we don't have any set date. I also wanted to say that our parks are going to be closed tomorrow and maybe the next day due to fire danger. So I think all the ridgeline parks are going to be closed. It's supposed to be a lot of wind coming up. Just wanted to put that out there. So I have a slideshow also, and these are some pictures of local spiders. Most of these were taken by my coworker, Trent, who's a great photographer. And we'll just go ahead and take a look at these things. Let's go, people. Hello. There we go. We'll just look at some spiders that you could potentially find around you in your parks and around your house. Some of these we just saw in Pat's presentation, which was awesome, Pat.
Thanks.
Here's a tarantula, which is a large and hairy spider. And as a matter of fact, right now is a good time to see tarantulas. This is when the males come out of their burrows and they start wandering about looking for females. Probably the last journey they'll ever take in their life. And over the hill from where I am, because I'm in Berkeley Hills, So not quite warm enough and dry enough, I think, for tarantulas. So you want to go over towards Mount Diablo in that area. If you go in the evening, sometimes they'll be crossing a road, or you can run into them on the trails. And they're beautiful and very, very gentle creatures. They just walk slowly. They're on their way. They're on their quest, and they have things to do. So they're not going to bother anybody. And these spiders are hairy and they make burrows. Here's one. Her abdomen's in the burrow there. And if you look around, you could see maybe all these little shiny pieces about, which are bits of insects that have been eaten. These insects probably passing by and made the mistake of walking too close to the tarantula's burrow. This next one is a turret spider. And like a lot of spiders, they like to come out at night only. And they build these beautiful little turret structures out of soil and bits of twigs and moss and lichens and things. You can usually find these on a trail that's cut into a bank. So if you have a steep bank next to the trail, especially with some overhanging vegetation, you might find these turrets, which look like, I don't know, little castles. Here's one. They're silk lined and probably held together with silk. And you can see like the little mud bits. And this plant next to it is moss. So it's a very small thing. Even though the spider looks pretty fierce, it's tiny. And here's one that was coaxed out of its turret by this piece of grass here. So they're waiting for insects to walk by and bump into their turret, and they'll come out. They'll come, jumping out, or very quickly come out and seize whatever it is. And in this case, it was fooled by a piece of grass, which is not very nice, and probably wasted some of the spider's energy. So we had to apologize to the spider there. Here's a Colobius spider. It doesn't have a common name, and so, we made up one, a tree trunk spider, since they can be found in the bark crevices of many trees, especially here in the park. And they make this sort of a little funnel to be in, or a tube in the center of their messy web in this bark crevices. Oh, here we go. Oh yeah, which one is this, male or female? As we learned in our last, by our last presenter. The Colobius has these beautiful patterns on the back. Other spiders do too, but it's part of their look. There's one more. He's got a little hole he's coming out of. And this spider lives all throughout my house and maybe in yours. Perhaps you're better at cleaning your corners or just meaner to spiders than I am. But the cellar spider, or some people call daddy longlegs, but also the harvestman is called daddy longlegs. So a little confusing, but they are definitely very long-legged. And this female is holding her eggs so she can protect them. And they're often up in the corner of your house or down in some dark part of if you have a basement. And they're always around. They hang out with us, with people. They've followed people to many parts of the earth, and they like to live in your house. I've seen these when I've bumped into their web, and they will shake in their web and make themselves look scary, and it looks sort of like they're dancing or something. Here is one eating one of those other spiders we just saw. So spiders eat insects, but they'll also eat other spiders also. Oh, and you can see the spinnerets here. So woolly web weaver, gray house spider, many names of this spider that came many years ago to California from Australia. And really likes your juniper bushes and your fence lines and the sides of buildings and so forth. And it's another spider that seems to enjoy human efforts, houses, fences, and things that we build. Now, only that spider knows what it's trying to do with that web there. It's not your typical cartoon type spiral web, but I'm sure it works for the spider. Some nice eyes. Wolf spiders run around on the ground a lot. They're cute up close. It's got some nice eyes over here and some forward facing eyes for chasing prey, seeing prey and catching it. Now, usually this is that egg case that we learned about, and usually it is a kind of tan or beige or something. This one's bluish. Not sure what's going on there.
Nice.
So handsome. These are probably my favorite, I guess, just because their colors and the way they look. These crab spiders, which are often, you can see them on flowers waiting for pollinators to land and just land in between their legs where they will be eaten. Some of them have like you have this yellow kind on a yellow flower and it's got excellent camouflage. And I've been walking down the trail and saw this butterfly and it just seemed odd the way it was resting on this flower, and on closer inspection, it was in the jaws of a crab spider. So it looked a little awkward and caught my eye. They'll even eat a bee or a wasp. Here's one that you might run into taking the garbage out or something. These can make some large webs outside your house somewhere. Kind of the typical spider web, the orb web. And this variety has this sort of cross-shaped pattern on its back. It can be scary if you run into a spider web and some of the web gets in your face or in your mouth or something, and you wonder where the spider is and if it's running around on top of your head. But have no fear, just relax. It'll be okay. And then there's some of the spiderlings of the cross orb weaver. So they just hatched out. They're everywhere. They're super cute. Some of them will probably eat each other, and the rest will try to disperse and go somewhere else. And of course, probably our most famous spider, the black widow, which just strikes fear in our hearts because it is the spider that can make us sick and feel bad if we get bitten by it. So they have quite the reputation. And they are known for their pattern, the beautiful pattern on the female under her abdomen. And then here's the male. Now this says actual size, but what it means is relative size. So if that's the female, the male is that size compared to the female. So he's tiny, which, he sometimes doesn't make it out of the mating process. Oh my goodness. Are they deadly? Here's a question. How many people in the US have died from black widow bites? Go ahead, throw it in the chat. 10, 20, 1,000, 1 million people? Oh, none, zero, zilch, nada. Look, this is a real scientific paper. Only 3 cases of deaths associated with widow spiders have been reported in the world medical literature. No known cases in North America. Move, you guys. Oh, I couldn't do it. Whoops. So, sure, it could harm you. You could have some necrosis at the site. You could have aching muscles, you could throw up. So it's not a joke to be bitten by a black widow, but no one has died in the US from black widow bite. Spiders just don't want to eat you. They like insects and small creatures. We're too big. Whoops. So mostly spiders are going to hide like this one and just kind of try to be left alone. Or this spider actually tries to scare you away because you're a dangerous predator to the spider. And it'll show its fangs to say, look, I'm serious, get away from me. And this one even has like a little cool colored area to show off the fangs a little bit, but still it's just bluffing. It just wants you to go away, please. Please go away. Spiders are friends. And they help us. Like Patrick said, they eat all those pesky insects and these filthy disease-carrying flies. Although flies are one of my favorite groups of insects. Just saying. And will you give spiders a chance? Like, I think everybody probably knows this, but maybe I'll unscreen share. Thanks for learning about us, everybody. Let me unscreen share here. Stop share. Okay, that's my hand. And here's my camera. And here, playing the spider today, is a small pink ring. Please focus. Thank you. Oh no, there's a spider in my house. I've trapped it under a glass. I've carefully slid a piece of paper, and now the spider is trapped and is no danger to anyone. Now I can take this whole thing outside and let the spider go. No one gets hurt. Spiders have been saved. And you, my friend, are a spider hero. And I bet some of you have done that before. Come on, camera, you can do it. I'm right here. Hello, there you go. And I brought one spider friend to share with you. Please don't eat me. Here's Rosie, a rose-haired tarantula, the kind you probably would find in a pet store. Oh, she's feeling very active today. And she just wants to walk around and probably get away from me. So she's a friendly sort, I guess. I mean, she's never bitten anyone, and she's been handled by many naturalists, and she's walked over hundreds of children's hands. And she lives here in the visitor center. And if we were open, you could come in and say, hey, I would like to see your tarantula. And then if there's two of us here, one of us will run back and get it and show it to you. But those were the old days before COVID. Now I don't know what's happening next, but there she is. She's just a cutie. All right. Thank you, everyone. Let me get some more light on this spider here. Can we see her a little better? Yeah, there she is. So more commonly, this spider would flick hairs off of its abdomen to protect itself. And those hairs can stick in your eyes, your nose, or your mouth if you're a predator or a human. So you do have to be a little careful handling tarantulas. And that's the tarantula and spider story, and I'm sticking to it. All right. You are muted.
All right. Thank you.
Sure.
I'm going to get us all back up here. Right. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Anthony. That was amazing and awesome. And I wanted to turn it over to Erin and let her lead the question and answers here. We've got lots of questions from our audience.
So many questions from the audience. There's some of them that I thought I would just cluster together. We had a bunch of questions about eating in spiders. And I suspect these are different depending on different varieties of spiders, but do any spiders eat plants? How much do spiders eat by, oh, Pat's shaking his head. How much do they eat by weight, compared to their body weight, like per day? If I don't see any bugs in my house, but I do see spiders, does that mean the spiders have eaten all the bugs? And do spiders' babies eat their moms? So that's a lot of eating questions. So they don't eat plants.
No.
Okay.
No. Spiders are all of them are carnivorous, and I haven't heard of babies eating the mothers. As Anthony said, the babies will be carnivorous on each other. And in terms of how much they eat a day, that's a good question. There's a really good book, The Biology of Spiders, Rainer Felix. That's a really, really good book. But there's lots of information on the internet that would be fun to dig up about that. But Anthony was talking about crab spiders, and you see them with like a bumblebee, and that's a prey item that's as big as they are. It's like you eating a human-sized hamburger. And they work on it for maybe a few days or a day or something, so they can probably eat a lot compared to their body weight per day. I don't know. What do you think, Anthony?
Yeah. And then I would say they probably, well, you don't see bugs in your house and you see spiders, they can go for quite a while without food, I would say. So they will wait until they can get something.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons they're a good pet, because you don't have to feed them every day. You can go on vacation for a week and they're fine as long as you keep a little moisture in there for them, like a little moist paper towel. They don't bark and do all that kind of stuff. So spiders are a great pet.
You don't have to pay anybody to come in and take care of them.
Nope.
You with no bugs in your house, but spiders, you should open your window and let some mosquitoes in and make sure those spiders have something to eat.
I agree.
I see here that Emma's asking, I heard that spiders have the highest protein content of all creatures. Is that true? Should we start eating spiders?
I don't know.
No, I don't think you want to eat spiders because they'll take a toll and increase the bugs. Eat bugs. Bugs got a lot of protein, high roughage, low fat.
There's there's a photograph I put in my presentation sometimes, which is I believe it's from Cambodia, and there's especially one area or a town where spiders like these are caught and deep fried.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of a plate of hundreds of them. And apparently it's become sort of a tourist attraction to go to this place and eat spiders and probably put yourself on Instagram. And I mean, it must be having, and I think I read something that said it's having an effect, on the number of spiders. Mm-hmm. And their survival around the area. So some people do eat spiders.
Can any spiders eat us?
Nah.
Okay.
No.
How far do baby spiders travel before setting up their own homes?
Oh, that's a good question. I think they're at the mercy of the wind.
What do you mean?
Well, they balloon away, right?
Balloon?
They crawl up onto the top of a plant. They stick up their abdomen. They put out some silk, and like a kite, they're blown away. And spiders are one of the first colonists of new volcanic islands and areas where fires have gone through. So that's a good question. We have some big field at our school with these Argiope spiders. And I'm always curious as to how far they travel or how far they have come from to land at our school. That'd be a hard one to figure out.
Yeah, you'd have to mark them somehow.
Yeah.
And yeah, that would be. Well, I remember as a child looking up and, I live in Oakland and I looked up and saw just, hundreds of feet in the air, all these white webby things floating along. I had no idea what was happening. And I believe my mother knew about it and she explained it to me. And these spiders are floating along in the wind. They'll just land somewhere at some point.
Huh. Are bigger spiders smarter than smaller spiders?
Hmm.
Are
What is
spiders
smart? What is
Yeah, that's an excellent question.
I don't know. I guess that's a tough question. What is smart? I mean, you look at jumping spiders and you kind of get this human-like quality because they'll turn and look up at you and do all this sort of stuff and everything. But all these little guys are great survivors and very diverse, and some of the big ones are. And sometimes we put animals, including spiders, in a human habitat, like in a cage, and they keep bonking in the wall, and people think, boy, that spider is stupid. But we're taking it out of its natural element that it's evolved in. And if we asked you to go live inside the crevice of a tree or underneath a cave, you wouldn't make it. And the spiders would all say, boy, you're an idiot. So who knows how size and what is smartness and all that.
Yeah.
How do spiders, how do they change with the seasons? Like, does their life cycle match up with the seasons at all?
Now, I would say late summer and fall is the best time to look at spiders. They're growing to their maximum size. It seems like there's more of them everywhere. And then in winter, they're really going to tamp down.
Yeah.
And the one question that just came in is about how long the life cycle of a spider is. And I know that there's a huge range. Yeah, exactly. How old is that guy?
Don't know, but some of these I think can live to 20 years or something.
Yeah.
The females. The males are shorter lived as far as I understand it. Like the ones who come out and search around here, who come out of their burrows and search for females, takes them about 8 years, I think, to become mature, but the females will live longer. And I think that's why they sell is this the California one here?
Yeah, this is one, well, we find them, I'm down in Monterey County, and they find them in Carmel Valley. And this is the male. And I think I've read 5 to 7 years or something like that. And then the females, as you say, in the 20s. Most of your spiders, I think, are like a year if they're lucky. Black widows, I've heard, can live a couple of years, maybe a little longer in captivity, but most spiders are probably a year or less.
I had a black widow on my desk for a year.
Uh-huh.
And that seemed like a long time for a spider.
Yeah.
How do spiders mate?
Aha.
Go ahead, Patrick.
Oh, that's a fascinating subject. So for male spiders, and Anthony and I both can relate to it, when you get a certain age, we just can't resist. The ladies are just so lovely. There's nothing we can do. We're slaves, And it's the same thing for the males. So like this male tarantula, in this little example, is supposed to be a male because you could tell by these little spurs. So they leave their burrow and they're going out and looking for a female, and they'll hopefully detect her with some sort of pheromone, like a perfume that the female puts out on silk or something. And so then the male has got the challenge of mating with a female that doesn't recognize him as her long lost love, but instead she thinks he's food. Because remember, spiders, they'll eat anything that they can catch. And so the males have to court the female. And that's a whole interesting study. And if you want to see, everybody ought to write this down because this is cool. Look up on YouTube peacock spiders. Ah, they're the best. They're beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, right. Anthony's doing the peacock spider dance, man. They're in Australia, and jumpers are great examples of courters because they have to vibrate their palps and do all this kind of stuff. And they've evolved these beautiful colors. They flip up their abdomen with all these exotic colors, and they're doing all this stuff to convince the female that, oh, that guy's not a bug. He's here to mate. Okay. And so by dancing, they do that. Other spiders, like black widow male, will pluck the web in a certain sequence, and she'll come out to get him, and he'll dodge it, and then they'll go back and forth, and it could be for hours. Others will give gifts, like a wrapped up fly, I've read. I mean, only a spider would appreciate that, But so eventually, the male has got the signal, okay, I can mate. But before that, what he has done, his palps, remember, have become like boxing gloves. And before that, he'll spin a little web and deposit some sperm in it and fill up his palps with sperm. And he has to crawl underneath the female to her genital opening during courtship. He has to crawl under there or go around from the side. It just depends what kind of species, and put his palps with sperm into the female's genital opening and then try to get out of there. What a job. So I know Anthony and I both would think that you females need to respect us males, because it's a tough job, especially in the spider world. Am I right, Anthony?
Yeah, that's right. Hey, you mentioned the hooks on that spider's leg.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on my spider too, and they use that to kind of hold the female back. Like, here's the female, she'll try to get the male, and he can kind of sort of immobilize her a little bit.
Yeah.
And then he can somehow get his palps under there. Some, I think male black widows sort of wrap the female in a little bit of silk. So it's a whole complex, fascinating world. And with like 30,000 different spiders to study, there's all these variations, which makes great reading and fun to study. And there's tons of stuff not known about spiders that the folks in the audience and ourselves can contribute to the scientific literature by going out and observing and taking notes and taking pictures and stuff.
What's the best way to attract spiders to your yard?
Don't kill them. I mean, they'll just come there. Their spiders are everywhere. If you start, maybe you look at some of the pictures of different kinds of webs, and then take a piece of paper and walk around your block or around your house and mark off how many of each kind you have with some tick marks. You might end up, in the hundreds of spiders just in a small area. So they're everywhere right now. They're right outside your door, and it's okay. But they're just everywhere. Yeah.
Maybe plant plants that attract bugs, and you'll get more of a diversity of spiders. But Anthony's right; they're everywhere. Easy to study.
Can you showed that great image, Pat, of the different kinds of webs. Can you guys talk a little bit about what the different webs do, or like how you would use the different webs to identify different spiders?
So in Spiderland, it's hard to identify things to species. Unlike birds, it's pretty easy. So if you can identify what family the spider's in, and scientists have taken those 30,000 spiders and divided them up into 20 or 30 families. If you can figure out what family, you're doing pretty well. And so by paying attention to the web, that will really get you to the right parts of the field guides. And so the orb web is a big family of spiders. And that's the classic Charlotte's Web one. And the cobweb, like for the black widow, it makes this messy tangle with lines that are taut attached to the substrate or to the ceiling, and they have a sticky droplet, and a bug or prey item will trip that line and get swept up into the tangle. And then there's funnel webs that they're kind of flat. Apparently they're not very sticky, and they have a little tubular retreat, and a bug lands on it, and then the spider comes out and grabs it. So there's different strategies with different webs. Money spiders or hammock spiders will make this like hammock, and they're underneath, and a bug lands, and then the spider underneath will pull the bug through and get it caught in the web. So lots of different strategies, but it's like 5 or 6 main categories of webs.
There's a neat one here, the Sierran dome spider, as kind of a sheet web, I guess, and it makes this beautiful dome that's supported on the plants above, and the spider will be in there upside down. And then a fun thing to do, if you see an orb web, some of them will have a little line that goes from the center of the web up into their little retreat. And if you look at it carefully, and then you could see that little line, and then follow it up, and then look under a leaf, and the spider be there, maybe resting its leg on that, waiting for it to vibrate. So that's a fun thing to do when you see a web. try to find the spider.
Yeah.
I have, we're running out of time, so I have 2 more questions, but I also want to, I'll put it in the chat again, but we have a lot of great resources on our Spiderama page, and we'll add links to the Spider and Its Kin book that Pat mentioned, because we do have that book in the catalog. So we'll add a few things to it. But two final questions. One, how do spiders communicate with each other?
What Pat was talking about during mating, the various dances and vibrating webs and waving arms and different things like that. I don't know beyond that, Pat.
Yeah, I think the only reason to communicate would be during mating, because all spiders are solitary. Plucking the web, that sort of thing. I think there's probably a few that are able to make a sound by vibrating the abdomen against the prosoma. It seems like I read something about that, but they're not out there calling or anything to attract mates, except for perhaps those ones that I mentioned. So yeah, visual cues and occasionally pheromones for attracting spiders from distances.
And the final question is come up a couple of times, and it's sort of, I think that this Spiderama and this, has done exactly what you want, but people have asked, why are people afraid of spiders? And then my question is, how can we make people less afraid of spiders? And this is exactly how we can make people less afraid of spiders. But do you guys have any sense of why people are afraid of them?
I would say, you could say, why are people afraid of snakes? Now, that lives deep within our early brain or something. And I think being afraid of snake might have 2 parts, where there's places where snakes can really harm you and make you dead. And so maybe it's part of our human history, but also snakes move strangely because they don't have legs. And I would say spiders look a little creepy, like when you see a fast spider and it's, scuttling along the floor and all its legs are going, that's kind of creepy to me. And then, I don't know, beyond that, harmful spiders, perhaps. What do you think, Pat?
I think also a part of it is a learned behavior from our culture. Look out for that spider, watch out for this, watch out for that. And it's like that picture of that little kid that liked spiders. He's probably been nurtured along to like them and all that sort of thing, and hasn't been programmed to, be afraid of spiders. I think that's a big component of it too. I mean, I've seen pictures of babies and stuff, holding snakes and spiders, and they're just, I just want to eat it. So I think it's a little bit of both, like Anthony said. I think in some places there's a genetic component to it, but a lot of it I think is learned, and we just got to spread the word, spread the truth about these things: snakes, bats, spiders, all these creatures that just get a bad rap. And I like old sci-fi movies and giant tarantulas and all that kind of stuff too, but a lot of the public sees it and just reinforces those fears that I had when I was a kid and a young adult.
In our country, there's a pretty common fear of mushrooms. Like, we all think every mushroom is poisonous, and in other places in the world, it's like a family thing to go out and gather mushrooms. So it's cultural, smash it, that whole thing. And it's just, when I studied some insects in college, I learned that there's 2 or 3 that can sting you and hurts, and all the rest are just harmless. So learning is the way to go, to learn what's there and then realize there's maybe just a small amount that you should watch out for.
Yeah. Replace fear with curiosity.
Very good.
That's awesome. Thank you guys both so much. This has been wonderful. Anne, did you want to add something?
No, I just wanted to say thank you also. And it was a great opportunity to learn about our spider friends. And we're looking forward to being able to visit you again, Anthony, up in the Tilden. And we hope, Pat, that we'll have some opportunity to get together again too in some way.
Yes, thank you. I had a good time. I enjoyed
Right.
it.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Thanks everybody for watching. Go
Bye,
Spiders!
everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.